Ahoy, shipmates. This is Amy from Cruise Craze Fam. So, we have a ship up for sale. Can you guess which one? Firstly, I'm going to run through some updates on the current cruising situation in Australia. So, things are currently changing so quick, and that's why I thought I'd jump on and do another quick video today. So, a few things have come out. So, there's been some people saying that the cruise capacity for Australia is dropping 40% by 2026. So that means there will be 40% less spots for a cruise passenger basically by 2016. So I'm going to run through this graph that I've seen on cruisepassenger.com.au. Now they have said it's 30%. Now, in saying that, I also noticed that they don't include Virgin on there. So we've also lost a Virgin ship. So I think there's a little bit missing off there. And that's probably where the gap between the 30 and the 10% is. So if you look at this table here, so for the cruise season in 2023 to 2024, the total for Royal Caribbean was 12,353 passengers. So that's the capacity. That's how many passengers they can fit on their ships. So they've got three ships. They've got the Brilliance of the Seas, Quantum of the Seas, and Ovation of the Seas. So you'll notice for next season, the 24-25 season, it's dropped down to Quantum of the Seas and Ovation of the Seas. So we've lost a ship there. And then in 25-26, we will only have the Anthem of the Seas and the Voyager of the Seas. So you can see each year the cruise capacity is dropping down. And by 25-26, it's only going to be 8,507. So that's a loss of nearly 4,000 passengers in that time. So then we look at Celebrity. They haven't changed. They've got Celebrity Edge coming through, which will be on next year. And that one fits 2,908 passengers. All right, so if we look at Princess, Princess is another big player in the Australian cruise market. So they've currently got, for the 23-24 season, they've got four ships. So they've got the Royal Princess, the Grand Princess, Majestic Princess, and the Coral Princess, which gives a total passenger capacity of 11,770 passengers. And then it drops down to the Royal Princess, Diamond Princess, and Crown Princess. But then by 25-26, all we've got left is the Discovery Princess and the Crown Princess. And that's a total of 5,600 passengers. So they have more than halved their cruise capacity in Australia for Princess, which is a massive loss for the Australian cruise market. So Carnival is the only one that you'll see growth. And the reason you're going to see growth in Carnival is because they are gaining P&O. Currently, we got the Carnival Splendor here year-round, and we got the Luminosa part of the year-round, which gives a total cruise capacity of 5,838 passengers. Next year's the same. So 24-25 is the same. And then 25-26, it's also including the Carnival Adventure and the Carnival Encounter. So the cruise capacity will go up to 11,074 passengers. So you'll notice on P&O, it's got Pacific Adventure and Pacific Encounter, as well as a Pacific Explorer. That's 7,226. It is the same in the 24-25 because 25 is when it will move over, and then there's nothing for the 25-26 season. So overall, the total capacity has dropped from the 23-24 season from 40,095 passengers. In 24-25, we can expect 34,052. And then in 25-26, it's down to 28,089 passengers. So there's a massive drop in Australia. So let's look at why this is happening. Josh Weinstein, the CEO of Carnival Corporation, is the president and CEO. He has come out and said it's due to operational costs, basically. So he said, despite solid demand in the area itself isn't actually large enough to support its own brand. So compared to, say, the Caribbean and stuff. The other contributing factors that is mentioned is the significantly higher operating costs and regulatory costs of running the cruise ships here. So port fees, food costs, fuel costs, all of that factors into that. And then he's also stated the persistent Australian dollars to US dollar weakness that we have here. So basically, this merger is going to cut down the operational costs. So they won't need to have their own head office for P&O anymore. So basically, Carnival's going to, they're already running. They're just going to maybe increase the capacity a little bit and they're just going to continue running it. So it's going to significantly cut the cost of operating by going over to Carnival and being Carnival run. So Carnival Australia will basically take over those ships. With this, so they're losing the Pacific Explorer, which, as I've mentioned, Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth, we're all losing a ship. So we've lost all those port fees. Then you got to look at, as a whole, the 30 to 40% drop, whichever one it is, in the cruise capacity. That means that the farmers are going to lose out because they don't have to supply as much anymore. The flights, the hotels, basically anyone who benefits from cruise ships, which is a lot of people, not to mention all the islands and the ports that they go to, they're all losing out on this. So cruising contributes $5.2 billion to the Australian economy every year. So over the pandemic, they lost $10 billion. And if you ask me, this is just my personal opinion, I just don't think they've fully recovered from the pandemic. I think the cost of living has gone up significantly since the pandemic, and that has spilled over to cruise ships. With all the lockdowns, the persistent lockdowns, the government are trying to claw back their money now, and we're paying, the cost of living's going up, everything's suffering now. And I think this is a spillover from the pandemic, personally. That is my opinion. So how do we fix this? So the cruise ships can't afford to operate out of Australia now. We're just pricing them out. We're becoming too expensive for them to venture over to this side of the world if they're already on the other side of the world. It's costing too much for them to come over, and then they can't afford to operate with the operating costs. But Australia can't afford to lose it in their economy because, let's face it, Australia is not in the greatest place economically compared to before the pandemic. Our ports, I'll bring up Melbourne, because that made worldwide news, that Melbourne increased their port fees 25%. And then all the ships boycotted Melbourne because they're like, well, we're not paying that. Sydney don't even charge that. And they've got the most beautiful port to sail out of anywhere in the world. Like, everyone wants to come and sail out of Sydney. Why do they want to come sail out of Melbourne? So they just lost all the cruise ships. They just lost all that income in port fees. How are Station Pier going to do what they were going to do, which is fix themselves up? So Australia can't afford to lose their ships economically, and then their ships can't afford to run here. So where do we go? What do we do? So this is a conversation, I think, that really needs to happen between CLIA and the Australian government. So they need to work together to try to come up with some sort of solution as to how they're going to work through this. So it has been reported that P&O only had a budget of $9 per person for food per day. We can't do that on land unless we're living off 2-minute noodles and Weet-Bix. We can't afford to do that. So how are they going to do that on the ship? And I can tell you, their food was good. I don't know. They couldn't afford to run, and now they've gone. We have just lost an iconic brand of 90 years here in Australia. So it has been sent to me that the Pacific Explorer is now up for sale. So she has been posted up on a big ship sales website that she is now up for sale. So there's no price or anything. It just says coming soon, and she's been listed up. So do you think she'll be sold? Will Ambassador Cruise Lines, who bought the Pacific Dawn, and she's now the ambience for them, do you think maybe they'll buy it? So do you think she'll sell? Let's face it, costs a lot of money to buy a ship, costs a lot of money to fix up a ship, costs a lot of money to run a ship. So do you think she'll sell? Pop in the comments whether you think she'll sell. So thank you for tuning in. This was just a quick recap of what's happening in the current cruise industry in Australia. Watch this space. Everything's still changing right now. We are booking a couple of P&O cruises, trying to get in last minute before she goes away. And so make sure you subscribe, like the video, subscribe so that you can see all our upcoming videos. So we've got P&O, we've got Carnival, we've even got Celebrity and Princess coming up. So thanks for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.